Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Transforming Assessment, eAssessment Scotland Joint Online Conference. Today is the 18th of September. Today's session is on Safe Exam Browser, which is a modular approach to secure and flexible online exams. So our speakers today are Tobias, Daniel, and Thomas, all from the Education Development and Technology Unit at ETH Zurich. So I believe, Tobias, you're going to speak first, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So we'd like to welcome you to our presentation today. Unfortunately, Thomas will not be able to participate. He may join later on. So it will be Daniel and me giving the presentation. And the way we will do it is that I'm talking and Daniel is taking questions in the chat. And whenever Daniel's talking, I will do the same. And we hope to get a very lively and interactive session that way. What will we be talking about today? We will be talking about the way we do online exams, ETH Zurich, and we will have our main focus in this presentation on Safe Exam Browser, on actually the version 2.0, which we are currently using, which is the core element in our online exam systems. Okay, so let's get started. The way the image you see, this is one of our examples. So, just before we go into the content, we would like to talk about terminology. Now, we have an agenda to define terminology generally regarding eAssessment. However, online exams, eAssessment, all these terms are used differently in different places and by different people, and usually start our talks by clearing things up just first. So when we speak of online exams, we use the term online because the exam are connected to a network. That's why they're called online. They're not called online because students can take the exam from their bed at home without invigilation. That's not the type of exams we're talking about. So online exams at ETH Zurich, they are always performed on exam client computers which are connected to a network. It's always summative exams. If it's just a formative test, we formative tests and not exams.
Sorry, Tobias, we're getting a lot of dropouts here. Could you potentially swap your headset with Daniel and see if that helps the problem?
Sure. I will try. So this better?
All right, Tobias, can you say something? No, that was really quiet. I think it's probably not picking up the correct microphone again.
Test 1, 2.
Keep going, keep going.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, okay, let's try that.
Okay, so I think sitting next to each other, I think our microphones are creating the interference.
Is it possible you can actually just use the microphone through Daniel's computer instead, if you're sitting next to each other, because there could be some wiring problem there.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Try to talk now.
Yeah, okay,
Is this microphone not having any dropouts?
Yeah, Daniel, your computer sounds better. Whatever you're doing now sounds better.
Okay.
So I'll try to talk through the same microphone. Okay, so to get back on track, it's online exams that are summative. They are always with credit, and very important they're invigilated by assistants who are present at the exams. So it's not done through the webcam or anything like that. So we started doing online exams in 2007. We did our first pilot exam in 2007, and the pilot phase was very successful. So in 2010, the pilot phase ended, and online exams became a regular institution-wide service. In the spring semester, so just now, we conducted 45 exams with about 4,500 to 5,000 students. A large percentage of these exams are very selective, high-stakes examinations where dropout rates will range between 40 to over 50%. This is, for those of you who are not familiar with European educational systems, this is by design. So ETH Zurich is not selective in admitting students to their bachelor's courses. If you have modular, which is like baccalaureate in France, or like the Abitur in Germany, you're allowed to enroll in courses at ETH Zurich. ETH Zurich, however, does want to be selective with which students are allowed to graduate from the university, and thus selection happens after the first year of courses and to a lesser degree after the second year of courses. And finally, we have a quality-oriented service strategy. So this means we are not doing online exams to save money, primarily. Our aim is to have better exams than on paper. Okay, so we still seem to have audio problems. I can hear myself.
Yeah, it's sort of coming. It's sort of fading in and out and what have you. But at least it's not completely dropping like it was before. So it looks like there is some networking issues on your side, because apparently people can hear me quite clearly, but when you're speaking, it sort of comes in and out and it fades in and out. So, but I think we just need to push on and see if we can solve it sort of via the network by itself.
Okay, so where do we want to go from here? So before I move on, I would like to ask you a question. What's the most important thing in the life of a student? Think back to your time as a student. So I would say the most important question in the life of a student is, will this be on the exam. So those of you who are familiar with this thought, please use the checkbox. Yeah.
Hi, Tobias, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you just went quiet. I thought it was a problem again.
So we're trying to do a vote here. We rarely have this mixed audience, so I'm wondering whether in other places the situation is similar with exams really defining what students are doing for courses or not. No one seems to be voting. Just move on. So, what is a good exam? We think an exam needs to achieve two things. An exam needs to assess competences, and it needs to do so validly and reliably. And it needs to be fair in doing so. But secondly, we think exams should support student learning. So this is a very difficult topic. I will give you an example. If you have a multiple choice test, students will have a very strong tendency to just learn by heart and to not try and really understand the concepts they are being taught. We think this is very bad. In the end, we don't want an exam to only be a bureaucratic act where maybe the students drop out. In the end, we want to have students that graduate from our university as competent experts in their discipline. So we think exams should support this goal. And research shows that exams are actually the single most influential factor influencing student learning behavior. So this is actually a very important lever to focus on if we want to improve student learning. So then from there we define goals for our online exam service. So our primary goal is to improve student learning outcomes by making exams more meaningful and more motivating for students. The second goal is to improve measurement quality of the competence assessment. So we want more valid assessments. Then, of course, we have many possibilities to improve efficiency when we are examining students on the computer, and where possible, we would like to take advantage of those savings. And finally, we have seen that performing online exams is also a great opportunity to get in contact with lecturers, with examiners, and give them didactical support, tell them about good practice standards, etc., which is something that really doesn't happen or happens to a much lower extent with paper-based exams. Now we will move to the technology. So we have these very ambitious aims, I think, and we're dealing with technology since it's online exams, and we have a lot of requirements for the technology. So first and foremost, the technology needs to be secure. We believe that the best way to prevent fraud and cheating in exams is to make it really difficult for students so that they really aren't tempted to cheat. And if students do cheat, usually it's very ugly situations that are created, and we would prefer not to have to go there in the first place. Since we're dealing with computers that are online, we need to be able to shut down any access to the network for the students, or we need to be able to control what students can and cannot access down to very large detail. Then exams need to be reliable and robust. Our students, they have invested, if we take their exams after the first year, they have invested an entire year's time in preparing for those exams, and 40 to 50% of them will drop out. So the stakes are very, very high. The nerves are tense, and tolerance for technical issues or failures, for having to reschedule an exam is very, very low. Typically here, if an exam has to be rescheduled, you will read in newspapers. Then the exam environment should be very easy to use for the students, because if it's not, what we're going to test is students' ability to familiarize themselves with an exam environment rather than competencies involved with it. Finally, it should be easy to customize and manage for us as a technical support unit and for the lecture.
So how do we get there? We have developed our in-house solution for securing exams, and that is Safe Exam Browser. So this is a secure lockdown application with an integrated web browser. It runs on our exam clients. In our case, that's Windows machines, as we are using lecture halls, computer workstation rooms for our exams, and we are in-house having only Windows computers. But the solution is also available for Mac OS X. As we are developing this not only for us, but also for other Swiss universities. We had some public funding in the past, and the requirement was to support the two platforms which are most common, especially also on student machines, because the solution also allows to use bring your own device. And in future there will be also an iPad version. Now, what does Safe Exam Browser do? It connects to a learning management system and basically to any other kind of web-based online examination systems. As it has a web browser built in, which is rather standard, you can use it with most, if not all, web-based exam systems. And Safe Exam Browser controls access to third-party applications. As Tobias mentioned, our goal is also to use other applications during an exam, and we have to secure those in a way that students can only do those tasks which they are allowed to, but also that they cannot access other applications on the machine. Okay. So just as some general information, SEB was publicly funded by national funding in Switzerland, but also largely, of course, by ETH. It is open source, That was a prerequisite of the public funding. It allows you to also customize the code, the application for your needs if you want to. Or the idea is also that the community can assess the quality of the software, contribute code if necessary, and find out that there are no backdoors in the code, for example. Then it is freeware, so you can download and use SafeExam browser completely for free. You don't even have to register. What also means that we don't have a full picture of who is using SafeExam browser. What we know that we have a global user base. We have our discussion board on our website on safeexambrowser.org, and there we get questions from all over the world. Our download numbers show that most downloads we usually have from the US, but followed from countries like India, and many European countries are also high in the list. So now a bit more to the technical side. So the goal when we were developing SEB was from the beginning that it should be a modular, highly configurable system. That means we are not deciding which exam system you should use, and we give hints how we do exams or how we recommend to do exams with SafeExam browser. But you might have different needs, and you can configure SafeExam browser according to you. So SafeExam browser can easily be used on managed computers. So like in our case, when you have computer working rooms with workstations, you can deploy SafeExam browser on those, and by just starting the application, your computers will be locked. You don't need basically to change some policy settings or some other things on your computers. Just start SafeExam browser, and your computers will be ready for the exam. But SafeExam browser, especially the new version 2, can also be used on bring your own device machines, on student machines, because also students just have to download the application, install it, and start it. Plus, it has to be configured to connect to your exam system that I'm going to explain later. So how do we achieve this? We use encrypted and signed individual configuration files for each exam. So you're able to have different configuration for each exam, and you can distribute this, being quite sure that before students have the credentials to access this exam, they cannot decrypt or manipulate this configuration. And for higher security, there are plugins for learning management systems like Moodle and ILIAS, which allow to ensure integrity of the SEB application and of the exam configuration. That means you can set something in your quiz settings, a special code, which will ensure that people who connect to the exam are really using the right SEB version with the right configuration for this exam. Okay, the architecture. No, there is no request for a Blackboard plugin at the moment. We know from some other plugins being developed for other systems. There is the one from Inspera in Norway. Plus, in the forum, I had some other people mentioning that they are developing such plugins, but I didn't get any further information until now. We will surely try to build up a list of systems which are supported with the links to these systems, so you can get more information. What is also being developed soon is a plugin for OpenOLAT, a system which, I don't know, maybe is only known in Europe, which is developed at our partner university, the University of Zurich. But OpenOLAT is now a spin-off, a fork of that. Okay, so just a very basic explanation of the architecture of SafeExam Browser. The software, as I mentioned, consists of a built-in browser and a so-called kiosk application. The kiosk application does the lockdown of the computer. So a kiosk system usually ensures that you can access only those information or resources which are meant to be used at a particular time. So that's exactly what it does. During the exam, the computer is locked down into SafeExam Browser. People can only use SafeExam Browser and its built-in browser. And that browser, of course, doesn't allow you to enter arbitrary URL. It is configured to access your exam, and people cannot go on other websites. So the browser connects to the learning management system as you would do with a regular browser. The difference is when you use those plugins that the browser will send encrypted code to the learning management system, and the learning management system can verify that the browser is sending the right code, which was beforehand set in the quiz settings. And as I mentioned, SafeExam Browser can also start up third-party applications. So in your exam configuration, you define which third-party applications are allowed to be used during that exam. And SafeExam Browser will then, when it starts up, start those applications and allow to use only those applications during the exam. Okay. So, how do you use SafeExam Browser in a bring-your-own-device environment? I'm explaining this because people might be interested particularly in bring your own device. There are some universities nowadays which don't have any computer rooms anymore, so students are maybe required to bring their own machines for when they start their studies. So there is, of course, a need, if you want to do eAssessment, that these bring your own devices can be used for exams. And of course, this is a bit more complicated because people have to somehow connect to your exam. So how does this work with SafeExam Browser? You send students a download link for Safe Exam Browser and one of these configuration files. These configuration files have the ending, the file type .seb. That's why we call them like that. Now students download and install SEB. This is rather easy. The Mac version doesn't need any installation at all at the moment. You just move it on your hard drive, ideally, after downloading it. And the Windows version does need an installation, but the installer is really straightforward. You don't have to ask answer questions besides accepting the license terms. Okay, then when students have installed SEB, they click on that .seb file which you have sent them. SEB then starts up because .seb is registered as the file type of Safe Exam Browser. And after being started up, it loads this file, the contents of this file. It can ask for a password if you encrypted the settings with a password. And then it reads those settings out of the file and configures itself accordingly. SEB then can load directly an exam, or it can get configured that it will, every time when you start it on that machine, display an exam portal page. An exam portal page, that's, by the way, how we recommend to use Safe Exam Browser. That would be some web page. It can be a simple HTML web page, which contains links to your current exams. And the advantage of using such a page is that you have to configure SEB once in the beginning, and you could then put on that portal page, for example, a test exam, which students can try at home, so they already know the system. Plus, you can then add links to other exams, and each exam can have its own configuration. We will try to demonstrate this also, but yeah, let's see if the network is working really.
Okay. So we'll switch roles again. And actually, there's quite a few technical questions in the chat. So Daniel is in the chat again now. You guys fire at him. I hardly ever see him not a good answer. I think it's very impressive. So now what we will do is we will demo an exam with SEB. So hang on a second. I will. So you should see a desktop instead of a PowerPoint slide now. If you are seeing a desktop, please click OK. Click yes. Okay, looking good. So what you see here on the desktop is an icon for Safe Exam Browser. So Safe Exam Browser is already installed here, and I will now run Safe Exam Browser. So take a few seconds to load. In our exams, students don't have to start Safe Exam Browser. Instead, when they sit at their workstation, they will already see this exam portal you see here in front of them. They then need to select the proper exam. In our case, this would be a demo exam for transforming assessment. They then need to log in. In our case, we use Moodle for our online exams. And they log in with their credentials of the university. And say, oh, I need to delete my exam attempt. Let me see right now. Just 1 second.
Hi Tobias, we seem to have lost the screen share there.
Of course,
Okay.
We only allow one attempt for an exam to prevent cheating. And of course, I tested out the environment this morning, and now I have an exam attempt. And small issues like these, when you conduct exams with thousands of students, they occur, and you will get familiar with these incidents, and it's important to have very simple procedures to deal with them. So here, what's the standard procedure? Something in the login process went wrong. We just quit Safe Exam Browser, so that's the quit button down here. And now when I quit Safe Exam Browser, of course, I will unlock my computer again. So I need to enter a password, which of course the students will not know. Now, Safe Exam Browser is shutting down. You have to wait a few seconds. There we go. I just opened Safe Exam Browser again. And I repeat the login process. Okay, and now I will start the exam. There we go. And so now we're in the Moodle quiz environment, and so this could also be ETH. This could be basically any web-based eAssessment or learning management system solution. So here we have access to typical question types. So what's the most important measure to prevent fraud in an online exam? It's actually the authentication of candidates. If I don't know that John Doe is actually John Doe sitting here, then of course all subsequent security measures are superfluous. We have multiple choice, so the question before was single choice. We have multiple choice type questions. We have short answer questions. I don't know, this might be 180 minutes. We have nice drag and drop functionality. Here the question is, Safe Exam Browser is a free open source software which consists of 2 main components, etc., etc. I can do this with graphics. This, by the way, is how the student workstation, what they look like. Very important, the instruction sheet here. Very important, the screen. Then here, where's Moodle? This is nice for biology tests, for example, for the sciences. And then in our opinion, the question type with the most benefits for these tasks in online exams, which is essay type questions. What are the main advantages here? The main advantages are you don't have to deal with student handwriting anymore. very, very important advantage. And actually, the quality of student handwriting is a very serious computers scorers a lot in the scoring they apply. So in handwritten essays, students to a very considerable extent are actually scored for the quality of their handwriting. But then also, and this is what all lecturers tell us, and there's even first empirical research confirming this, the quality of students' answers is improved. So the lecturers, they tell us that students, they write more in the same time, and what they write is a lot more concise. Now, the reason for this is simple. I can write something, and then if I forgot something, I can, of course, edit my text. I can copy, paste, and this is wonderful. So that's another serious benefit. Lecturers actually, they save up to 50% of their time in scoring when they have to score essay type questions. That's our keyboard instead of handwritten. Okay. So now we are actually through with the demo for the moment. So I will stop the screen capture, because I would say what we have seen up to here is pretty much the standard scope of question type for online exams. Now, we would like to take things to a new level, however. So what do we mean by this? In many subjects, how does learning work today? So when students are learning, they are acquiring new skills, they are doing this using electronic devices. Later on, in their job or in their academic career, they will be working with electronic devices mostly. This is a webinar now. We're not using paper for this webinar. But even if you're at the conference in person, 80 to 99% of people, they are taking notes electronically. They are not taking notes on paper anymore. Nonetheless, exams are to a large part still written on paper, and we think this doesn't make any sense at all. To clarify a bit, let's take a very extreme example, a course in computer science or in programming. So here we have three phases. We have the learning phase, we have the exam, we have the target competence, so what students should be able to do in their further academic career or later on the job in the private sector or wherever. So of course, when you're learning to program, you're working at the computer. Of course, when you actually are programming, you're working with a computer. How did I have to take my programming exam? I have to do it with pen and paper, which is really absolutely ridiculous. And the problem here is there are certain solutions for this problem in eAssessment systems and learning management systems. But typically, you don't have a solution. You may have a problem that lets you do an exam for a very specific programming language, but there is no solution in eAssessment learning management systems that lets you do an exam with any environment. We really think this is what we need, what we want. So basically, we want an environment where the learning takes place using electronic devices. The target competences, they revolve around using electronic devices. And we want the tool where we can use these electronic devices for the purposes of a high-state, secure eAssessment. And here the modularity of Safe Exam Browser comes in very handily, because what Safe Exam Browser does, it doesn't give you any functionality for actually rendering an exam. There's many solutions for that around. What Safe Exam Browser does is it locks down your computer. So basically, I would say we have three types of functions of the computer in online exams. One of them is the function as an assessment tool, so where it's the exam engine. And this is where I would say far over 90% of secure online exams or eAssessments today and what they do. We have a learning management system, you have an eAssessment suite as an exam engine, and in essence what you're doing is you're replicating the possibilities for exams you used to have on paper, and you're just doing it on the computer now. However, the computer is also a tool in its own right, and even in subjects where the computer isn't a tool in its own right, you can use it as a simulation tool to approximate environments or tasks, and that would be a lot more difficult to simulate on paper. Say you could have a virtual patient, for example, for medical school, or in our example here, we have a virtual herbarium for students who need to identify certain species of plants. Okay, I would suggest we can do two tracks. We can either demo the more advanced exam environment where we can include software like Matlab, like Microsoft Excel. We can give access to certain URLs for functionality on the web, all in a secure fashion where students cannot cheat or do fraud. Or we can talk about the setup technologically and how it works. So I would suggest we vote who wants to do the demo. Please check yes, and please check no if you want to talk about the setup for that. So no one is voting.
Hello, folks. If you'd like to vote, please tick the yes button for the more advanced demonstration. Actually, yes, I think they want both.
Okay. So I suggest we put the link on the website. Yeah, so for both. You can read it in our paper also, and we're happy to send you a more detailed technical paper on the setup via mail. So we'll do the demo now. The more advanced setup. So I just have to capture the screen. Okay, there we go. So we're back in our exam, and you might have noticed before down here we have all these icons. And this is the software that Safe Exam Browser is currently allowing students to access. So for example, I have Adobe Reader. What can I use that for? I can use that for electronic open book exams, for example. So we have the situation that lecturers, they want to do an open book exam where students are allowed to use their scripts during the exam. And now it's entirely possible that we have 200 pages with thousands of PowerPoint slides of lecture lecture notes and lecture slides. And the students, they will not print them out. They will use them electronically during the semester, and then just for the exam, you'll have hundreds of students printing these documents, which is really a shame. And instead, what we can do is we can provide access here. We have an empty folder now, but here you would have the lecture slides. So you can view them via Adobe Reader. Another example is this you can see here. This is a question type. Okay, in RStudio, please implement a bubble sort algorithm. So I would now open RStudio. I would write my code here, and then I save the file. On the desktop. And I can now upload the file into the exam. And since in Safe Exam Browser I can specify any software to be allowed, I don't have to design any functionality. I can use the proper software for the purposes of an exam. I can even take this one step further. So here we have the question, what's the relationship between androgen levels in pregnancy and autism? Please conduct a literature search on this topic and write a brief summary citing your sources. You may use the following resource. Now I can open Internet Explorer. Of course, I could just Google it. No, of course I can, because basically the Internet is locked and we don't decide whitelisted on certain web domains. So this would now be there we go. This would now be the portion we are allowed to use, and I can now enter here autism pregnancy, and now have access to these papers via PDF, for example. So what's really critically important to understand here is that in this setup we can control what students are allowed to access and what they're not allowed to access with a very high granularity. Except for the literature search use case, we have done high-stakes exams with all of these use cases. So we have exams with RStudio, we have exams using Matlab, we have exams using lecture slides. In one programming course, students were even allowed to take their programming exercise from the semester into the exam environment. So in programming, they were actually allowed to use code that they had written during the semester in answering exam tasks, which we think is now very, very close to how you actually program in reality. Okay. The time is almost up. I would suggest now that we have questions now.
Yes, I was trying to answer questions in the chat, but you're free to ask further questions.
So for those of you who want to leave, thank you very much for your attention. On the schedule overview, we have linked a publication of ours, which more or less summarizes most of what we have told you today. And then you have safetycrambrowser.org, where you will find very detailed information on safetycram browser, including, of course, safetycram browser itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Just in the last minute before people head off, if they could please fill in the traditional feedback survey. The link on this slide is actually a live link, so you can click it. Thank you, Tobias. Thank you, Daniel. That really got people talking today. We'll also post up the the chat log as well. So, in fact, I can send you the chat log shortly after the session so that you can read through all those questions and what have you. It might be informative. So I'm going to stop the recording. Once again, thank you very much for your excellent speech. And hopefully, if you can send the paper that you wrote with the details in it, if it's on a public link, I can add the link to the website as well, because we'll post it.
So the link is actually already there, but we can send it once more.
Sure. Okay. Oh, you mean it's on the description already? Okay, sure. Okay, folks. So if you go to the session description on our calendar system, there's probably the link to the paper, but certainly that will find its way onto the session recordings page, and it's listed on our website. Okay, so thank you very much, folks, and we'll see you again for the last session tomorrow at the same time.